Hey guys, Sunstone Advocates, how you guys doing? It's Greg Mack. Hopefully you had a chance to review the first video, and we're getting ready for the second installment of probably several videos to start to help you understand the terminology and phraseology and the language that we're using in terms of defining these things in the sales transaction and the advocacy interaction with prospects, suspects, potential customers, potential members, right? Lots of words and terms and titles being thrown around. So I just want to spend a brief moment talking to you about some of these key terms that we have in this particular model of interviewing and getting to know a stranger. And this comes from the Sandler Sales Institute, where some of the material originates. And they use the term suspect and prospect to differentiate two different parts of the transaction with a stranger that's inquiring about your products or services, which is still separate even from client member, right? And so to give you the quick definition of a suspect is just someone that you think needs a membership or needs your services. Doesn't mean that they do. It's just for whatever reason you believe that you can help them or that they would benefit from their service, from your service. And so that's what a suspect is. And it's important that we differentiate and define these things, because we don't talk to suspects like we talk to prospects, and we don't talk to prospects the same way we talk to members, because they each represent a unique part of the relationship process, and each definition and each situation that you find yourself in has a particular goal or goals in order to keep the conversation moving in the direction that you want or it needs to, or you terminate the transaction. Because one of the big reasons and underpinnings and fundamental ideas about this particular system of interviewing and selling is that we want to protect time. Your time primarily, but also the time of the suspect prospect. I mean, everybody's time is the most valuable thing they have. And I got to tell you this, when the suspect or prospect is in the mode of trying to figure out if they want to do something, they got no compunction about wasting your time. They'll take it as long as you're willing to give it and get nothing back for it, right? And so we're trying not to violate the law of mutual exchange, where we're trying to set up win-win situations at all times. And it's risky for both parties initially as they go through the exploration phase to try to figure out, as they kind of poke around and test the waters, whether or not they want to spend any more time and energy and resource and time and treasure and all that stuff continuing to talk about your product or service. And so a suspect is someone you think needs your product or service. And that's important, because just because you think so doesn't mean they actually do. And there's only one way to find that out, and you got to talk to them. And the only goal with a suspect is to see if they're a prospect. Now, what's a prospect? A prospect is someone who has actually stated out loud, verbally or in written format, some physical need, in your case, health and wellness and movement and all the good stuff that comes with that, for whatever reasons they have: quality of life, weight loss, general strength, managing disease, any number of reasons. And coupled with that is some kind of emotional expression about that, because value for us, what defines value, and value by definition is the subjective sense of worth of something. The subjective sense of worth of something, and subjectivity contains within it emotion. And so we need to know if there's some emotion associated with this ambition or exploration or this decision to start seeing whether or not what you guys do can benefit them. And so that's the real point of the conversation with a suspect. What's going on? Why'd you call me? Why'd you email? Why'd you walk in here? And you don't ask those questions. But this is the idea. It's the backstory here. And is there some emotional component that really raises the value? So that's what the conversational strategy and tactic is all about when you first interact with somebody, is to start asking questions, get the backstory, take them back in time to find out what happened up to the point, the present, where they decided to actually make a behavioral choice to call you or email you or walk in. And then start talking about the future, of what happens if they don't make this decision and what the problem will be if they stay where they are. And that's usually where you're going to find some emotion. And they may use emotional words like, I'm angry, frustrated, afraid, I'm scared, I'm horrified, I'm devastated. They may use words like that. But often emotion is also expressed through body language, right? And the eyes and the face and skin tone changes. And so you may see some of these things as well that you go, there's a little emotional expression and a physical need that's in my wheelhouse professionally and what we do here at Sunstone. Now they're a prospect. Once they're a prospect, the only goal is to figure out whether or not you should spend any more time with them and carve out any more time to discuss more details about making the final decision. No, they and Sunstone should not get together and work to problem solve and move them towards their objectives. Or two, yes, they should take the next step to move forward and make a purchase, bring out their credit card, or set up a face-to-face with a coach or whoever that might be in order to keep the decision to engage Sunstone and start developing a professional relationship forward, right? So that's the key, suspect, prospect. First time you meet somebody, they're a suspect. Doesn't mean they need you just because they walked in. If they say something that's part of the physical culture and their physical needs, which is what you guys deal with, and there's some emotional expression associated with it, now they're a prospect. The only goal with a prospect is to see whether or not you should take the next step and spend some more time and energy talking with them, setting them up with a coach, or deciding to move them forward into some kind of orientation process. So how do you think individuals think about being in a sales transaction? I mean, you're a customer, a consumer. When you're faced with a sales transaction, how do you feel about it? What do you think about? How do you behave when you walk into a store and you see in a quick glance, 5 or 6 people that are dressed different than everybody else, and they're all smiley, and they're looking at you, and they're starting to drift your way, and you recognize, oh no, those are salespeople coming to attack me. Right? And so how do you think about sales training? Do you really love and enjoy and can't wait to be in your next sales transaction, right? Something you really love, right? No, you don't. We don't like the sales transaction. We spent the last video talking about why that is. And so we got to put ourselves in the shoes of the suspect prospect. And that they're coming into this transaction not necessarily with a high level of trust about what's going on. And they're not sure what your intentions are. And that they don't want to get screwed and be taken advantage of and sign a contract that they can't get out of and have to deal with the hassle of buyer's remorse and try to come back from making a decision, turning products and services back in, and signing cancellation policies and all this stuff, right? So I would encourage you to take this perspective, even though the suspect or prospect might present themselves as friendly and nice and cooperative. Right? Behind the eyeballs there, probably not happening. They're probably not really telling you the truth about what they really need. They just kind of want to get through this thing, tell you what they want, you give them the answers, let's move on, right? And that's not helpful to them or you. And so we've got to get into the mind of the sales process of the suspect prospect and understand that's what's going on. Because the only goal of the suspect prospect process is to try to figure out whether they should keep moving forward in your system to become a member of your facility and engage in all the coaching and classes and the cool stuff that Sunstone provides. And not everybody should get in. And that's an important distinction. You guys have to make quality and value and preference judgments in defining your ideal customer and who do you want in your world. Because maybe some people shouldn't be in there, right? And that's okay. Maybe they should be somewhere else. And so that's the whole idea of suspect prospect and their role and their mindset coming into the sales transaction potentially. And so just recognize that and don't take it personally. It's not about you and who you are behind the scenes and outside of Sunstone, and they don't know you from Adam, that you're a trustworthy, friendly, loving, compassionate person who just wants to help. They don't know this. What do they know? What do they know? They know they're in a sales transaction and that money's going to have to be involved and you're going to ask for money and get them to commit to something that they may not want to commit to. And that's why people want guarantees and contracts that they can get out of, and why they don't want to sign contracts, why they just want to test the waters with free sessions or free weeks or whatever it is. And so that's okay. That's the way the modern customer is, the modern consumer. You're just going to recognize that going in and deal with that and not take what's happening personally to you. It has nothing to do with you. It really doesn't. It doesn't. To this person, you're just someone at Sunstone who they have to deal with and to try to figure out if what you guys do is what they want, and is the price right, is the timing right, are the classes right, all of those things. And so suspects and prospects, got to differentiate who you're talking to. Don't talk to suspects like you talk to prospects, and we don't talk to members like we talk to prospects. We talk to members differently once they're a member and part of the family, right? So keep going. This is going to be fun. Have fun with it. Don't get too stressed about these conversations. Enjoy them. Make them fun. But make them purposeful. You're working. This is work. This is your job responsibility. Nothing wrong with having a little fun, but staying focused on what you're trying to do. So don't take what the suspect or prospect does personally. If they're mad, angry, frustrated, impatient, whatever's going on, acknowledge it, talk to them about it, but stay focused on who you're talking to and why, and qualifying them for the next step in the process.